The continuous voter registration, which commenced in June last year, has entered the third quarter. As of yesterday, Monday, 17th January 2022, a total of 8,260,076 eligible Nigerians commenced the online registration, completed the registration physically, or applied for transfer to new voting locations. Some applied for replacement of their permanent voters' cards or updated their voter information record as required by law. The Commission has been publishing weekly progress reports of the exercise. We are aware that Nigerians want to know when their PVCs will be available for collection. At the moment, the Commission is undertaking the most comprehensive cleaning up of the data to ensure that only eligible citizens are added to the voters register for the 2023 general election, and we will share our findings with Nigerians and the actual dates for the collection of PVCs nationwide very soon. I want to request that you continue to encourage eligible voters who have not registered to do so that they can register, bearing in mind that those that have registered at any time previously need not register again. Also, encourage voters who wish to transfer from their present polling units to new ones created as part of the Commission's expansion of voter access to do so immediately. Last week, the Commission released the timetable for 6 by-elections in 4 states of the Federation. These elections are scheduled to hold simultaneously on Saturday, 26 February 2022. The detailed timetable is already uploaded on our website and social media platforms. Hard copies are also included in your folders for this meeting. Meanwhile, the Commission has also decided that the suspended Ekiti East 1 state constituency by-election will be combined with the state governorship election holding on 18th June 2022. The date for the Shinkafi state constituency in Zamfara state will be announced after a thorough review of the security situation in the area, while the Commission awaits the declaration of vacancy by the Kaduna State House of Assembly in respect of Giwa West state constituency. Turning to the major end of tenure and off-cycle elections, party primaries for the Ekiti state governorship election are scheduled for the 4th to the 29th of this month, that's January 2022. For the Osun state governorship election, party primaries will hold from the 16th of February to 12th March 2022. In the case of Ekiti, all the 18 political parties have served the mandatory notices for the primaries. Let me seize this opportunity to draw the attention of parties to the necessity for transparent and rancor-free primaries. Parties should also respect their chosen dates for the primaries based on the Commission's timetable and schedule of activities. Already, many parties have rescheduled their primaries several times. While the Commission has earmarked a period of 3 weeks and 4 days, that is exactly 25 days for the conduct of the Ekiti State governorship primaries, virtually all political parties have decided to hold their primaries in the last 4 days, that is 26th to the 29th of January 2022. In fact, 7 political parties have chosen the last day for the conduct of their primaries. Similarly, no party has so far submitted its list of aspirants, the composition of its electoral panel, or the register of members or list of delegates, depending on the chosen mode for electing its candidates. As of yesterday, only 1 political party has indicated the venue for its primaries. I urge you all to do so immediately to enable us work out the detailed plans for monitoring the primaries. All primaries for electing candidates must take place in the constituency where the election will hold as required by law. In the cases of Ekiti and Osun governorship elections, any primaries conducted outside the two states will not be monitored by the Commission, and their outcomes will not be accepted. This also applies to primaries for by-elections conducted outside the constituencies where the by-elections will hold. It is now 25 days to the area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory. Major activities have already been carried out, including the conduct of primaries and nomination of candidates by political parties. Only last week, the Commission presented the register of voters to political parties, while the PVCs for new registrants, requests for transfer and replacement of cards have been printed and delivered several weeks ago to our FCT office for collection by voters. In the next few weeks, the Commission will intensify stakeholder engagements, the monitoring of campaigns by political parties, and preparations for election day activities. On this note, I want to draw your attention to the distribution of voters to polling units in the FCT, particularly the fact that 593 out of 2,822, or 12% of the total, do not have voters. This is because voters fail to take advantage of the expansion of access to transfer to these new polling units. The detailed distribution of voters to polling units in the FCT is among the documents in your folders, or will soon be distributed to you in your folders for this meeting. We'll hold a discussion on that, but we'll give you a comprehensive list of the distribution of polling units in the FCT, particularly the distribution of voters for polling units, just as we did in the case of the Anambra state governorship election. For emphasis, the bimodal voter accreditation system will be deployed in the FCT elections, which is the second major election after the Anambra governorship election held in November last year. The 68 constituencies in the FCT, 6 area council chairmen, and 62 councillors, covering extensive urban and rural locations, sharing borders with 5 states in the north central and northwestern parts of the country, is another opportunity to pilot the efficacy of the beavers in a different geographical, geopolitical, and electoral context. The same technology will be deployed in all forthcoming by-elections across the country. For all elections going forward, polling unit results will be uploaded in real time on the INEC result viewing portal. On the Electoral Amendment Bill currently before the National Assembly, the Commission is encouraged by the Senate President's assurance to give priority attention to the bill when the National Assembly reconvenes from its recess today, and the commitment by the President to assent to the bill as soon as the issue of mode of primaries by political parties is resolved.
We are therefore using this occasion to once again make our strident call for the immediate resolution of the unnecessary impasse over the Electoral Amendment Bill in the superior and overriding national interest. The IPAC has persistently suggested that at various fora that the first rational step in the circumstance is for the 2 apex legislative houses to immediately expunge from the bill the provisions that make it mandatory for political parties to use direct primary elections in the selection of their flag bearers in general elections. Going forward, we have also called on the President to thereafter assent to the bill without delay. Our concern in the IPAC is that failure to reach a compromise in the short run may invariably translate into the death of other very crucial provisions, such as the provisions on the electronic transmission of election results, as it is compromised and shifting of grounds in respect of the bill by the 2 arms of government, incidentally controlled by the same political party, the APC, should not ideally be too cumbersome a task to accomplish. In their review of the bill before passage for the presidential assent, the IPAC is further suggesting that the National Assembly should seize the opportunity to look into the various aspects of the statute to ensure the eradication of gray areas on the basis of which the President had withheld his assent in the 2019 attempt at its amendment by the National Assembly. In that regard, legislators will do well to collaborate with INEC and other strategic stakeholders such as the IPAC to guarantee the elimination of errors, ambiguities, and non-compliance with provisions of the Constitution. We at the IPAC are anticipating the emergence of an electoral act that will address, among others, the lingering and fundamental issues relating to the legalization of electronic accreditation of voters, as well as the transmission of election results, issues relating to substitution of candidates in the event of death of in an election, and the definition of what amounts to overvoting, early release of election funds to INEC, early commencement of campaigns by political parties, and the period that political parties are legally allowed to commence campaigns in the countdown to elections. I cannot but seize this auspicious occasion to once again register the profound appreciation of all of us at the IPAC for the immeasurable support we have been enjoying from the Independent Electoral Commission since our establishment 12 years ago till date. I wish to assure the INEC chairman and his commissioners that the newly constituted National Executive Committee of IPAC is very conscious of the significance of synergy between us and INEC as partners in the historic endeavor incumbent on the present generation of Nigerians to nurture and deepen the roots of democracy. Against the background of the above objectives, we are assuring you that we are determined and committed to upholding and building on the existing cordiality between INEC and IPAC. In pursuance of its mandate, the new leadership of IPAC is coming up with a range of programs intended to raise the profile and capability of the platform in the discharge of its mandate of building bridges across political party divides and promoting harmony between organs and arms of government, institutions and agencies whose functions relate to the deepening and advancement of democracy in our country. Within the framework of our mandate, IPAC must be involved in the process of promoting sanity, dialogue, cooperation and coexistence between the political actors and political institutions. It is in this context that I wish to also use this occasion to draw attention to the disruptive activities of certain persons and groups whose acts of frivolous litigations usually threaten smooth electoral process and ultimately democracy itself. From our experience, these political masquerades are no more than adventurers and miscreants that must be checked and stopped by those with the statutory mandate of sanitizing the political space. It is our view, therefore, that IPAC as a forum of all legitimate and registered political parties should be actively involved in curtailing such disorderly tendencies.